Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Shadaliko TV. Let me say Happy New Year. I know this is our first podcast for the year, so let me say Happy New Year to all our viewers who will join, who will watch later on after the live stream. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel, and it's good to be here with you again. Congrats to everyone who made it to 2024. And this is our prayer on behalf of TV that this year will be very, very prosperous and fabulous and all of that. It's going to be a wonderful year, working year, and a year to touch more lives as we go on for those in the community development space. Okay, so back here, we'll be looking at something very important. We're doing insecurity. We're giving our searchlight on insecurity as regards IDP and all of that. Generally, we'll also be looking at a few things across Nigeria, why the insecurity is still there's still pockets of insecurity here and there. And some states you find more kidnapping, some states is extortion and all of that. And then in the northeast, still find a whole lot of insurgency and all of that there. Anyway, I have a guest here in the house who will be doing justice to this. We've been trying to do this interview for a very, very long time, since so many months back, and luckily we are here today. Good afternoon, Mr. Manuel. Welcome to Second TV.
Yeah, good afternoon. And
Right?
finally,
Happy New Year.
happy New Year.
Yes, we've been trying to do this for so long. Either you are busy or we are busy. We are busy, very busy people, but thank God we're doing this today. So, how are you
Yeah.
generally?
Ah, the thank God. The year the year has started, and there's hope for better things this year. So we hope that no matter the situation or circumstance or whatever we're experiencing in Nigeria, it's a collective responsibility to fix things, and I'm looking forward to contributing my quota to making Nigeria better. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of us who don't know Emmanuel Ikule, I know you've been on this show a couple of times and you've always gotten very good feedback from some of the things you've mentioned or said. Viewers will call back and say, we like what you said the other time. Why don't you bring him back to talk about it? So who is Emmanuel Ikule? You might like to introduce yourself for first timers who might be watching this later on. Who are you? What do you do? And take us away.
Okay. My name is Emmanuel Ikule. I'm a graduate of political science. Uh, I've been in this sector for about 13 years. Should I say about 14 years now? And by and large, I've kept my line of work just in the NGO sector. And I've been privileged to work in different sectors in the NGO space. I've worked in emergency situations with IDPs. I work in refugee camp as well. I've been privileged to work in crisis situations at the same time as flood emergencies. And outside that, I've also worked in different states in the country, all towards trying to contribute my quota towards improving the life of a common man. And my last employment before coming back to Elixir Trust Foundation, I headed network on police reform in Nigeria, where I built capacities of different security agencies, from the special units of the CRU to X Squad, also some staff of even the Police Service Commission. I've been privileged to also train the Southwest Security Network, Amotekun, among others. But all these programs is I've organized or I've participated in, be it in research, be it in training, have all been towards improving, the state of insecurity in the country. And it's not like a one step fits all or one effort address all. So it's going to be a continuous process. And as long as we have life, we'll continue to fight to improve lives and touch the lives also appropriately and make Nigeria a better place where respect for rights will become a norm, not like what we're experiencing currently in the country. So this is Emmanuel Ikule, and I'm glad to be here once again.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So let's even talk about insecurity generally. You are one of the experts and you traveled around. And what will you say about Nigeria generally about insecurity? Because just when we're trying to battle with one and trying to destroy one, another set grabs the pen and we're back to square one, like too many steps forward and too many steps backward. Generally, what do you think about insecurity before we even come to facing it directly?
Uh, Nigeria as a country, after independence, we aspired for having a country that respect for rights will be a normal thing. Yes, we had military rule over some years, and then later in 1999, military handed over to civilian leadership. So we're expecting that after about 24 years or thereabout, the country to some extent should have improved, at least in the areas of human rights, respect for human rights or rule of law. But unfortunately, we have found ourselves in trying to address the same situations that we're even experiencing even during military rule, and those issues have lingered till date. One, because insecurity is still existing. One, because we have been unfortunate not to have political leadership that have political will to actually push to address these issues that we keep having in the country. All over the same different states, only few leaders are actually interested in seeing that the rights of citizens are protected or life and property are being protected. But most of them, their eyes and ideas have always been towards embezzlement of funds. That is one. Secondly, security agencies or security officers themselves, the ideas behind entering into the security sector themselves is not good enough because most of them enter or venture into the sector to make money, not to ensure security of lives and property, which is the primary aim of representative or government agencies like them. So because of this type of ideas, when they enter into the sector, their idea is just about getting the money, stealing the money in whatever way or whatever form to get to this money. So the idea behind security, which is supposed to be protection, will be changed from being protective to being more of collectors. Instead of being protectors, they become predators, trying to collect this uh, anything that benefits them. So security agencies themselves have not been operating well to ensure or prevent insecurity from worsening from what it was before. So outside that, there have also been issues of religion being issues around the quality of recruitment of people, quality of or how they carry out even their roles or their work. You try to favor people that come from your religion than others, and this affects the quality of service they offer. Sometimes it's tribal. A lot of persons have ended up recruiting more persons from certain zones because their IGPs, um, they have recruited more persons from their states or from their zones to the disadvantage of others in other zones. So these issues are there. Be it from recruitment, what is the quality of training after you have recruited people? So at the end of the day, people spend about 6 months or spend about 18 months, be it as constables or recruits. And then at the end of the day, what do they offer? Nigeria as a state has about 200 laws or more. But even the common ones that guide their work, how many of them know these laws? I've been privileged to do an assessment, um, police knowledge, and their compliance with Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, as well as the Anti-Torture Act of 2017. And more than 50% of officers were not even aware that laws like Anti-Torture Act was even in existence. That is one. Talk more of trying to implement the content of what is in the Anti-Torture Act. So this is the situation we find ourselves. And to make matters worse, CSOs actually fought for an alternative source of income, that is the Nigerian Trust Fund, to address issues of training and retraining of police officers, to address this training deficits that have been in the system for a long while. But it has become a place to enrich self. So instead of using the billions that are accrued there yearly to train officers, to empower them to be able to carry out their work better, they have instead used that money for themselves. This fund was also to ensure that the police is properly kitted, or ensure that the police facilities are being republished to the standard expected in the 21st century. But still, you go to police stations, it's still the same old story of 20 years ago buildings, they are still there. Outdated and dilapidated barracks, they are still there. The colleges are nothing to write home about. Then, even the curriculum of trainings for people in colleges needs to work. If you lack this knowledge and the trainings are not given properly, it affects the quality of work they offer when they leave those training colleges. And coming back to officers that are in the field, but still are working as if with the knowledge they got 20 years back. Let's not forget that the Police Act was just signed recently in 2020, 2019, 2020. So it's still implementation is still currently. So there's need also on that to improve the trainings of these people. And then the other issue has been the oversight. When security agencies fail in their work of protecting, instead of being protectors, they have become predators, and you don't discipline them. But despite that, we have internal complaint mechanisms that are up to six. We have the public complaint bureau, we have the complaint response unit, we have the X squad, we have provost marshal, among others, that are internally the internal complaint mechanisms in the Nigerian police force. But still, till date, there's no discipline of his officers. Out of 100 cases, you discipline five. That is not growth. That means most of these persons, because they have godfathers that are senior police officers and as IGs or DIGs, they know that nothing will happen. So they go on repeating the same offenses over and over. And the only thing done to them is transfer them. What happens to the victims? If you have murdered citizens and you just transfer officers from one location to the other, how have you addressed that problem caused by such officers? Then the other unit, which is the external oversight, the Police Service Commission, on their own, they are just in Abuja. How many staffs do they have to police or to control or to play oversight on about 300,000 police officers all over the country? So even when these cases are reported to them, how well do they respond? And even when these crimes are glaring, how many officers yearly are being punished? We have a lot of citizens looking for work. How about replacing them? Once we start remove sentiments and favoritism in the space, we have quality officers. And when we have quality officers, we have effective service delivery. And this will reflect in the type of quality efforts they make in the field to protect the lives of citizens. But if there are loopholes all around, then it affects and continue to lead to the deaths of many citizens. Let's not forget there are also gaps of synergy between security law enforcement officers. The military officers most times look at the police as inferior to themselves, so they do whatever they want. Unknown or out of ignorance, they fail to realize that the police is in charge of internal security, not them. And as long as internal, the police is in charge, but they do whatever they want. Some years back in Taraba, when even the police went to arrest a criminal, military officers went and murdered them. I don't want to bring the issue of 2020 October of NSAS, or the recent one that happened around Christmas Day, that about 100 citizens were murdered in Kaduna. The military and this was caused by the military. I don't want to talk about the massacre of citizens in Benue State, in Konshisha or Kum local government. These are supposed to be people protecting lives. And then all of a sudden, you have become murderers. And these military officers go about murdering citizens instead of protecting them. And the worst thing is, nobody is being held to account. If you murder citizens about 100, and even those controlling drone or whatever they are calling it, or they claim they were doing at such a time, and then nothing happened, and they just simply came out and said that there was just a glitch, or there was the machine had some challenges. Lives were lost. This is not, you don't do mistake on people's lives. And the families of these persons you murdered, what has happened to them? The breadwinners of this family have murdered. What has happened? Most of these families, what will they do? They may think about jungle justice. That is why insecurity will continue. They may think about also taking advantage and also attacking you, also the military. This will also lead to further insecurity. And that is what also gives room to other young ones coming up, because they don't have their parents to train them in school. They end up having no jobs. And no jobs, it means they'll be available for recruitment, for thuggery, or being recruited for trafficking or for whatever reason. At the end of the day, we end up creating more criminals than stable citizens that work to secure lives. So all these things happen over and over again, and indirectly leads to insecurity and also leads to displacement. The case recently that happened in Jos, people were being killed for about more than 48 hours. Every community have police stations. Every For a Jos plateau that is used to those type of situations, they are barracks. So what happened? The police officers, they were on strike or what? Or the military officers traveled or what? That people will kill, they'll kill citizens, and the numbers is still going on about 100 and close to 200 now. And the killing continued, and no, there was um, no response from security agencies, no intervention, nothing. But the same people that claimed to be working went and killed people in Kaduna. But when it was time to do the work, they were not there, and killing has continued. It means they are aware of these situations, and most times they support these persons carrying out such brutality or such crimes. It happened in Benue State. The displacement in Benue State is because also the military were docile, or because they were also supporting the group, maybe because of the president of the day, that is Buhari, the former president. So people were killed, the military will do nothing about it. When you want to defend yourself, the military will prevent you from defending yourself. This happened to Benue State. I was privileged because the first camp built in Benue State, I worked directly there. And it was built by the organization where I was working, Tengonet. So it's not about what I heard, it's what I saw. This also happened also in Nasarawa State, where military were there to see that a particular tribe, Tiv tribe, were attacked and murdered. And still the same military prevented these same people from also fighting for themselves. If you continue to work based on sentiment, or take sentiments to become like a yardstick for you to work, or a criteria for you to carry out intervention, then it means the situation we have is even good, it will only go worse. So all hands need to be on deck. And when sometimes uh, people are doing poorly in office, maybe service chiefs are failing to carry out their work, but you support them because they come from your tribe, or a president is failing, or a governor is failing, but you are supporting it because it belongs to your religion, then we won't go anywhere. And that is why insecurity will continue in the country until we have good leadership and good followership from all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, you spoke so well about some of the warning signs, especially this silent dichotomy between the army and the police. and sometimes you're finding them interfering and even claiming this superiority over issues. And let's come to the IDP. Long ago, people felt someone the foundation of government structure and workers somehow get this internally displaced um, out of whatever camp they are in, and then maybe start expecting their or although that they either be maybe acquiring rights in the agriculture or the fact that you find people when over their days anymore and all of that. Where are we in the progression of things now?
I will clearly say that the government of Nigeria have failed its people. I won't say they are failing. I'll say they have failed its people over and over again. One, displacement happened. Let me use Benue State as a case study and as an example. Displacement happened in Benue State because the government, the federal government, supported it. I'll say this because Maytel are predominantly Fulani and they are also herders. They came and attacked citizens in living first and foremost in Goma. That was not the first time they have been attacking, but on the 1st of January 2018, they attacked Goma and displaced people there. These persons left where they were living to an IDP camp that was provided for them. So IDP are generally internally displaced persons. So the IDP camp where these persons were kept. Then this killing happened for some time. The government of the Benue State tried on its own part to try to see how they can address these issues. Just like this issue that's happening in Jos, where people have been murdered for about 48 hours and everybody is like as if nothing is happening. I don't see the conventional media even reporting these cases. That shows that our government supports this kind of thing, or else our media will also be reporting it for all hands to be on deck, or to kind of warn others that are trading those paths or traveling towards those routes or those routes also take alternative routes to their places. This happened and a lot of persons were murdered. Children were rendered orphans. A lot of women became widows, and most of these women were more of housewives. They were not doing anything outside farm work. So imagine the father is the breadwinner, goes out maybe to hustle and bring back the money, and then there's no father again. The mother, the only thing, the skill the woman has is working on the farm. And then you move him away from that comfort zone to an IDP camp where there's no farm to work on. What will she be feeding on? I'm telling you that I have been in camp where people have died. At the beginning, a lot of persons were dying daily because of food. Children were dying. I became like a father at some point because the first shelter that was commissioned, Gomadaudu shelter, I did the profiling for the first persons there. I was the program officer of BengoNet, so I did the profiling of the first persons that stayed in that camp, and I located them rooms. So we also monitor to go around. These persons were given room but without food initially before some persons started sending reports support. And as of then, SEMA was also not functional. SEMA had less than 10 staff. So they were not even coming to the camp. BengoNet was actually coordinating these first camps in those areas with volunteers from NGOs that were supporting these people. The government of the day, Benue State, once in a while they'll go there and support, but federal government claimed they were not aware until later before NEMA or the federal government even recognized that camp. That means there was support of what was happening to the citizens of the day. And these persons that kept attacking citizens in these areas, none were arrested. Just like in any other state or any other place that killings have happened, you discover that our security agencies will see nobody to arrest. How can a group of persons enter a location and murder about 100 people, but you cannot see one person to even arrest? You don't even know where they came from. But still, you have drones that work almost in every area. So what are you wasting the billions of money allocated or trillions of money given to you yearly for? That has been the question. So these persons will come and murder people and go back. To the extent that even the first camp where we kept these persons, herders still brought their cattle to come and even walk into the stream where these persons were even managing the water to drink. And they camped beside this IDP camp. We needed to have a meeting. We called on the chiefs in that area. We invited Meitiala because they, just like I said, are more like an umbrella body of headers in that area. And let's not forget that Meitiala came out publicly to claim that they were the ones that carried out that attack, and nobody was arrested. No one was prosecuted till date. So what is the value of a Nigerian citizen? What is the value of life of Nigerian citizen? So we brought all these persons together and spoke with them. At the end of the day, the representative of Meitela in Benue, who went with them to where they were camped, and he spoke the language with them, and we gave them a time frame within. We had had a meeting on Wednesday and said within Friday they should leave the place. And actually, that happened. They left the place. But the issue now is this: there are places or their homes where they left to come and live in the IDP camp. What is the condition of their homes? When these herders drove them from their places and murdered them, they took charge of those areas. And that is what they keep doing in a lot of states till date. Once you don't want them to take charge of certain areas, they use force and the federal government protects them. It happened in Taraba, and they have started living in those areas that they have attacked. It happened in Benue, and they are still living in those areas. That is why these persons cannot go back to their homes. Let's not forget that this attack happened at a time where these farmers harvest their crops. So all the things, the investment they had all in the farm were harvested by these people. They harvested it and went and sold. That means these persons were hungry. They had no money because that was their investment. And then the government that is supposed to be their father in this trying moment also was not there to even support or do anything. And that has happened till date. I know many times that we had to take some children from the IDP camps that they have lost their parents to orphanage homes. We took them to the hospital. I actually played the role of a father during that time. Went on admission for about 2 weeks or more because of malnourishment, which have still been one of those issues still till date. You will see when a child, a child of 5 years, you see the child and it's like all bones. It's just like clothes is covering the bones, and the tummy will be like drum. That is how bad a lot of these children were because they are too little, they have no one. So maybe a neighbor or somebody that used to know their parents may decide to take charge of them. And don't forget that every father wants to feed their own children first before extending the little they can to the next person. So what happens? So this have happened until date. If you are trying to think about trying to address these concerns, the federal government have to be proactive about this. You don't even hear them speaking about it. Let's not forget that currently we have about 17 IDP camps in Benue State. Let me repeat this. We have 17 IDP camps in Benue State. Till date, You will never hear the federal government talking about it. If it's a concern to them, they should have commented about it. And this is not just one local government. It's happening in about 5 or more local governments. In Ado, in Guma. Guma is about 7 camps. In Makodi, in Gwe West, these IDPs are camps are 17. And more than 300,000 persons are displaced. So how are they feeding? So some CSOs have managed over the time to get some funds to support them. But how far can this support go? My NGO, Elixir Trust Foundation, yearly in December, will try to carry out outreach to these persons. We'll get clothes since it's the festive period for them also to be able to get clothes from well wishers and supporters that will take to these persons to give them clothes, footwears, and sometimes we support with food or soap for bathing or slippers. But how far can this go to such a population? In a respective home, you can imagine even a bachelor, how much the person is spending daily. Talk more of having about more than 300,000 persons in camp. What are they feeding? Where are they getting their source of income from? And the same Benue State is still having a refugee camp because of the crisis in Cameroon. So a lot of displaced population from Cameroon, a lot of displaced persons from Cameroon are currently are currently in Benue State. So what has happened? Refugees, this is there are people coming from another country, but still the federal government, if not for the help of UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, that is actually supporting with livelihood support that once in a while, and it's most time, no project happens for 1 or 2 years and it ends. What happens afterwards? So these persons are still there. And if you look at the budgets of the country, be it from the state, be it from the federal, you don't see anything like addressing or preparing for return of these persons. Because if you need to return these persons back to their place of abode, first, you have to think about the security of lives. So it means you have to go there and clear the place to ensure, or maybe build stations in those their former homes and be there to provide the security, just like so that anytime there is attack, there will be reprisal attack from the security agencies to protect them. And the neighboring states, which is Nasarawa and Benue State or Taraba, the neighboring states, there should be like a meeting of all these governors and have a one accord that we won't allow this to happen again. So people shouldn't use my state as a route or a channel towards coming to attack another people. If that meeting can be held and that treaty can be signed, it will help. And then military, unfortunately, the military now have not given themselves any rights to be trusted. Many thugs and many terrorists have come out clearly to say they have been working with in hand with military. Ghana that was killed, Tewasi that was killed by the murdered by military. Some a warlord that was murdered in Benue State, also a few years back, was also an ally of working with the military in going about different state causing issues, but was still supported by the military. And these persons are also protected by these same people. So how can you expect criminals or a sector, a law enforcement agencies infiltrated by criminals to come and protect you? So even the citizens will be like, these people were here the last time that headers came and attacked us. So why should I trust them now that they will actually protect us? That is why some zones now have formed their own security agency to actually protect their citizens, because the federal agencies are taking directive from the federal, and these directives from the federal may not suit the communities that they are supposed to protect. So the security should be provided. They need to be kind of support with certain facilities, or should I say institutions, that will help. Things like hospitals, those things that were actually being destroyed by this attack, schools that were being destroyed, they need to be rebuilt. Hospitals that were being attacked need to be rebuilt. Uh, Roads or whatever, these things need to be fixed. How about even the water, source of water, and all those things need to be placed back? And if these things are put in place, and then those persons need to be capacity to be built on a skill that they can do, not imposing a particular skill that you feel they should do, but you train them, because when you have interest in what and you know what you are capable of, what you can do, you give more commitment to it. So that should be done. At the same time, those states that are constantly being attacked, particularly in the middle belt, Jos, Benue, Taraba is more in the middle belt than the northeast, that is actually being always attached to. Kaduna is similar. Kaduna is also more in the middle belt, or should I say north central, than it is to the northwest. So these states in that zone, just like um, Southwest Security Network or the Southwestern states, have actually come out to form a Motekun to help in protecting their citizens. I think it is high time Benue State government and also Nasarawa and the nearby states in Jos come together and also form its network. If the federal government is not in support of it, let the police, let the military remove the face of tribalism, religion, and the face of sentiment, and actually work based on rule of law, and work based on uh, carrying out their mandate devoid of sentiment. If that they can show, not that they say. Most times they talk, but they do differently. So if they actually say it and act it, then citizens also will start trusting them enough to work with them, and which will be like community security. And that will help. But communities, the federal state government, even if other states refuse, they should activate those community security persons so that they can start defending themselves, because the federal government have failed and they are not even trying to address this concern till date.
Okay, thank you very much. Your delivery, you kept saying the need for other regions to also have something similar. I know there's also been a few disputes here and there of saying that Yamoussoukro and others have maybe not time or once in a while to protect their boundaries and all of those things. What's really the way forward as we wrap up? Um, what can we do better? And then I know this conversation we had on the displacement that people are allowed or handle for a period of years and then all of a sudden what happens if they know of any police or can work with the where people into the gallery and being complacent because of what do you think?
I think a lot of people, a lot of governors, particularly, come out to for elections not to defend the common man. Their idea behind coming out is to enrich themselves, because being in that privileged positions, they are entitled to certain privileges and entitlements that will make them not to experience poverty. That is the poverty mentality of most of our leaders and most of our governors. They are not coming out actually to work for the good of the common man. So these issues will continue to be there because most of these governors are not thinking about it. So another thing again, yes, a lot of people in a state like Nigeria, normally you advocate for, it's normal for people to advocate for state police, which normally it's supposed to be the case in our country. But you keep looking at what's the quality of leadership we have. If the police, for example, is still being controlled, it's still a federal police. But you also look at how our governors have been able to use them or manipulate them to carry out their dirty dealings, like what happened during the NSAS in Lagos. Then you start imagining what if it were even at the level of state police where they are there directly in charge or in control of them, what will actually happen? So we will get there, yes, but for the meantime, depending when we have a state police, for the meantime, we can work on community policing. Where individuals, before we had a conventional police, every community had young persons or dedicated young persons with to carry out the issues of security in those various zones or various communities. And these persons, they will even arrest criminals and then hand them over to the police, as was the case. And we encourage every community in the country now to do that, because this conventional police and then this conventional service chiefs and the military we have currently, they are being infiltrated by criminal elements that don't think about security, that don't value life. They're only thinking about safeguarding areas where they can have interest on minerals. There have been little reports about mineral being discovered in Jos and the reason behind some of those attacks. But that is another story for another day. So concerning this also, for Lagos, for Southwest states, that they have come together to actually get a legal document from their state house of assemblies to have to guide the work of Amoteku. So it's a similar thing that can also be done by other states. But at the same time, when you are making laws, you also try to have an oversight. For example, on each of these laws, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act have NAPTIP to ensure its compliance. Anti-Torture Act have NCAT. And most of these laws, Administration of Criminal Justice law, have ACJMC to ensure its compliance. So that even if these laws are not being interpreted well, there can be an oversight. They can also, in all these states, also have like an oversight body. Maybe they are reporting maybe to the speaker, or maybe they are reporting to if be it to the police, or they can be like a synergy within the state where in monthly meetings where different sector heads of these different security agencies will be coming together for a meeting and then they agree on issues. But the issue that have always been here is even if they come together and agree at those meetings, if the commissioner of the CP of a particular state gets a signal from Abuja, he's going to work with that. That has been the issue. So the new Police Act actually empowers officers acting in good faith to do their work, even if it goes against the directive of their senior colleagues. But the Nigerian police still are scared of doing that because a lot of persons are too scared of losing their jobs. So it means they can go to any length to keep their jobs, whether they are doing wrong or not, whether it's affecting people negatively or not. As long as it keeps their job, they are good with it. But the states, particularly Benue State, should get their own security agency, saddled with protecting its citizens. If they do that, they should have a law that will guide its operations, whereby if these same persons go against what is being guiding their work, these persons should be disciplined. Just like I said, rule of law, we're operating a democracy. Nobody should be above the law. Nobody. So even if you are heading that particular agency and you go against, or you have used your position as maybe the commander or the commissioner or whatever the title may be of a law enforcement agent to go and hurt somebody, you are supposed to be disciplined as if a normal, just like any other citizen. Because before you even became that officer, you were first a Nigerian citizen. So no preferential treatment for anybody. As long as favoritism and preferential treatment continue, that security of life will always be an issue. Insecurity will always be an issue. So if they can do this at that level, I'm very sure a lot of young persons will be able to come out. And don't forget, this will also be employment for those young persons that are available in communities doing nothing. And at that level, you train them well to be patriotic to the country. Security agencies, three-quarter of officers are not patriotic. They are, they are only respecting and obeying the directives of their godfather or people that helped them enter into the particular law enforcement agency, which is not the case. If they are patriotic, I think we'll have a better uh, service delivery from them. So it's the same thing. Even though such a law enforcement organization should be formed, they must still work under the police because the police is saddled with the responsibility of internal security in Nigeria. Yes.
So many things I need to ask you, but like you said, because I would like to look at hold on. Okay, okay. We'll bring you back so that we can back to more things. But to wrap up,
Okay, so there have been a lot of issues currently in these IDP camps, and I think there is that need to flag it up as I'm trying to close. One, there's issues. I talk about malnourishment. It's actually affecting people, and if Nigeria government really value lives, I think they should take um, visit, carry out visits to these various IDP camps because they have their own specific and needs that they need to provide for these people. A lot of these persons lack medical health care. And yes, Medicines and Frontiers, among other NGOs, have been trying to support, but it's too much of a burden for them. The government should step up. Then another serious issue is the issues of sexual gender-based violence. A lot of these people, because they cannot feed or fend for themselves, are being taken advantage of by people that have peanuts. That means children are giving birth in IDP camps daily. Recently, a child of 13 years gave birth. That is how bad the situation is, and many are like that. Many are dying, and people are giving birth daily. They can also be raped. Many have been raped, even by so called persons that should be protecting them. That is how bad it is. And nobody is doing anything on it currently. There has also been a lot of cases of trafficking. A lot of persons will come to them that come, let me go and help you and come and be helping me at home as a house help and I support you. And then nobody knows how far about them again. And because a lot of persons are minding their business and the government is more concerned about other things, these issues keep lingering. Before now, earlier, there was this case where some families decided to also help and house some of this displaced population. But guess what? Maybe the landlords or those persons that were housing these people could just go into the the widows they were actually helping and be sleeping with them. These widows will do nothing because they were scared of being driven away. What will happen to my children? What will happen? I don't have food, but if I allow him to be having, doing whatever he wants with me, we'll have shelter, we'll have food. These are crimes that need, that these criminals need to be prosecuted, but nothing happens till date. And accommodation, just like I said, if you want to prepare for return, their houses need to be fixed, but there's also need for livelihood support. Their capacity needs to be built, and then at least lead support for startups. So outside medical care, they need their places they are living has no light. They have lanterns that once in a while they are being supported by good cheerful givers, or by maybe UN bodies that have visited those camps. But the accommodation is still not nice. The rain is coming. They are sleeping on the floor. What happens? Many are down with malaria. Many are down with typhoid because they eat whatever they can find. Do they have a good source of water? People are raped daily and people are dying daily. These issues are still there. So there is need for something to be done for them to return, at least for them to be able to go back to their houses where they can farm. Let them know that they are suffering for 1 year or 6 months, and after then they have their crops. And even if they want to go back, at least they need to be supported with seedlings to be able to start something, or a livelihood support. They start up a grant that they can start a business, or clothes that they can wear. A lot of people there, women don't have pads. Pad is a luxury. Let me not even, bathing soap is a luxury. So these are issues that are still lingering, and it would be nice that the Ministry of Health make it their priority to ensure that people these people live better lives, and they stop dying of very trivial sicknesses or infections. And then these cases of gender-based violence, NAPTIP, and women affairs, or the national human rights should also wake up to this responsibility. These are rights that are being violated. And if kids are being raped daily and giving birth to children that they don't even know the father, what happens to the society tomorrow? So this is a serious state we are, and every one of us have a role to play. And as always, people that wish to know the details, or even the number of persons in these IDP camps, or need to support these women in one way or the other, or these ones that are being abused in one way or the other, can as well reach out to us, Elixir Trust Foundation, and we can see how we can support or collectively partner to ensure that even if government does nothing, we can support ourselves to improve their livelihood and for them to live better life as human beings, which is something that they have been lacking. So once again, thank you, Shagalinko, for this opportunity. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for for coming to the well, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain. I want to thank Mr. Emmanuel Ikule of the Elixir um, Trust Foundation. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And got a few messages. I'll just quickly read them. King Courage says, well done. And then Otter Courage again says, watching from Kano. Thank you all. Remember, the videos will still be here. You can share and still drop your comments for your friends and loved ones. And it's still the festive period. So, Happy New Year if you know that. And thanks to everyone who's been supportive, everyone who's been our partner, our fans, our viewers all across the globe. We really want to say thank you. And 2024, hopefully, God willing, we will bring more interviews, more guests your way, and all of that. So thank you all for joining us. And I hope that when next we come here,